All right. Beautiful day here in October. Flip it around there, and you got Mark Strigl in the minivan. How are you? And Anton LaVey on my shirt. Straight out of 1966. Mr. LaVey and Mr. Halford is here too. Another nice bald head. So listen, here's what we're doing. We are reviewing this great new book. But first, a quick AC/DC mention. It is, by the way, it is October 15th. Got to take my kids to the dentist in the minivan in just a minute. But AC/DC, yeah, Paul Matters died from AC/DC. And when I read this headline this morning, I was like, wow, who the hell is that? And I'm a pretty big AC/DC fan. You know, when I think of bass players in AC/DC, I don't think of Paul. And I was like, wow, why is this even in the news? So I had to do a little research. I think of Mark Evans. I think of Cliff Williams more than anybody. Cliff, of course, played with the band ever since Power Age. He quit the band, I guess, after the Axl Rose tour, but now he's back in the band. But anyways, who was Paul Matters? Apparently, he was in the band as a touring bassist for like 2 weeks after High Voltage came out, and then was fired, and I guess Mark Evans came in at that point. So there you go. He didn't play on any of the records. He didn't play on High Voltage. Yeah, it's not like he was really a part of the AC/DC history, in my humble opinion. But anyways, he died. So sorry, Paul, you're dead. Anyways, we are moving on to a book that was sent to me a number of months back. I was lucky enough to get an advanced copy. I know it's out now, and we had mentioned it on Metal Crush, a show I produced for Sci-Fi over the summer. Whitney Moore hosted it, and we had a brief mention of this great book, and I got to read it. So because of that, they sent me an advanced copy. And excellent read. I love it. If you're a Priest fan, get Confessed by Rob Halford. I will just let you know that there's a lot of great stuff about the music. Sometimes these books, there's a fine line, like they don't really delve into the music that much, and it's just more personal. Sometimes they don't even mention certain albums that were released. Rob does a pretty good job at least touching upon all the records. So it's not like a Martin Popoff book where it's just all about the albums and the music. You know, it's definitely Rob's story and Rob's voice. I love his sensibility in it. You really feel like you know him after reading it. And I love, because listen, I'm pro-gay. I'm not gay myself, at least not yet, but I'm all about the gayness of this book and how he puts it all out there, lets it all hang out. And I think it's important for that, because we really, this is a man's struggle, and gay rights and stuff are a big part of this book. You know, that really he had to sideline his sexuality and his happiness to be in a heavy metal band in the 70s and 80s. And it's kind of sad when we look back on it, but it is the reality. And that story, I think, is a really important part of this book. And, you know, is it a gay rights book? No, but it has that story that so many gay people had back in those times, where they had to hide their sexuality, and the confusion that Rob had with, even, you know, some of the men he went after weren't actually, in his opinion, gay, you know. And so I found it fascinating, on so many different levels. I learned so much about Halford, but I also just found the historical importance of it. And thank God we are at where we are now with gay rights. I know we still have a ways to go, but at least we're making some progress. And yeah, so excellent read. And any of those heavy metal old school guys who are still homophobes, read this, because you need to. Get over it. Halford is the metal god, without question. We love Rob Halford. And Rob, if you're watching this, thank you for writing this book. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so good and loved hearing your story. So there you go. And I wanted to just remind everyone to support me on Patreon. I did mention we are going to maybe just for after episode 900 of the Talking Metal podcast cut back just a little bit for a couple months. I just want to get my life in order and hopefully come back refreshed then. But in the meantime, the content will continue on Patreon, so check me out there. Patreon is the place. I think it's like patreon.com/talkingmetal, or just search Mark Strigl Patreon and you'll land there. I'd love to have you join us. So that's my review of Rob Halford's book, Confessed. I suggest you buy it immediately.